I have a couple of things that I wanted to talk about, but one of the things is I was talking to one of my daughters yesterday, and she works with the homeless community, and she said two things that were really significant to me. Was one of them was that there is mass amount of crimes being with them on each other, with people to them. I mean, just senseless murders happening, and assaults, and sexual assaults. Just all sorts of horrible things are happening to these people, and of course, it's not being talked about. They're barely above garbage to some people. So that is going on, and then also, there's a lot of addicts that are homeless, and so that population, that stuff that came across the border, it starts with an F, and it was inside of all of these different drugs, which I think that it's even being laced on marijuana. I think they're lacing it on everything, and it is absolutely killing people by the hundreds. Like thousands of people across the nation are dying every day, and they're not talking about it, right? They're not talking about any of this stuff, right? They're not talking about the volcano that's about to go out and destroy the whole East Coast. They're not talking about that. All of the things that they just want to keep us arguing and fighting over, just nonsense bullshit. And this is one thing that I try and get people to understand. When you understand reincarnation, you have a broader sense of what's going on here. And so when I see these people, like these different communities, like indigenous people, black people, these different communities coming together and wanting their people to come together and stick together and stuff. And, they feel this strong urge, the thing is their soul is not just that black person. Or this Indian person. They've played all the different parts. Like some of these people who would be indigenous people right now, and they are talking about the colonizers. Well, more than likely, they were the colonizer, because it has to go full circle. You have to play all parts. If you're playing this part in this life, then you played the other part before. So you've played the different parts. You're all the different colors. You're all the different beings. You're everything to go through your life existence. That is why you get to that higher minded reality of the connection. You are all things. Why would you fight yourself? You wouldn't fight yourself. You would accept yourself. So you need to accept all things with all people. And the thing that is extraordinary with this is that the people they're fighting against is the ancestors that they say they're fighting for, because their ancestors are here playing a different role in their life. And when you start to realize about how the fabric is made of reincarnation, and how we are all wove together, how we are all part of the same thing, then you start to understand, why would I fight with you? I am you. You are me. You are my blood. We are connected. And, that when people can get into that mindset, it's going to release so much of this ridiculous division. But, they've got people divided on every single thing that they can, anything that makes a person different. And then they've got this mentality of like, how many labels can I fit in behind my name? I'm just going to be, my bio is just labels or something. You want to pull away from the labels, because a label confines you. A label has a meaning. And then you are saying, I am just this meaning. And most people are very broad. You're multifaceted. You can't be labeled. You are all things. All things are you. So how could you fit into a label? Each person is unique. Each person is an individual. Each person has a particle of God. It's a piece of source that is a part of you that goes out into the world for experience, that goes and is born over and over in all sorts of different bodies and different experiences. And when you go in to play one part, you have to play all parts. That is how you're taught. It's the seeing yourself from every angle. And that is what is going on right now in this life, is giving an opportunity for you to see yourself. That is what the event that is, the big thing that's coming, is that when the world flips right side up, because everything's been upside down, when it flips right side up and everybody has to see the truth, this is like a lot of people are going to find themselves in the lion's mouth, but it is also this, it's like a mirror is going to come before you, and you're going to have to look at yourself and see yourself in ways you never could imagine. You know, you're going to see sides of yourself that you didn't even know were there. And that's why all of this, it's important to release judgment as this progresses. So when you get to that part where you have to see yourself, you won't be as hard on yourself. You'll understand, I'm just a soul. I'm just here to learn. Why would I judge myself? It's releasing judgment. That is how you move up. As long as you're judging, you need to go in and experience that, because it's walking in someone's shoes is how you learn. So you have to go walk the experience. You don't just learn an experience because someone tells you a story. You learn an experience because you go in and experience it. So if you still have judgment in your heart, it still means that you have more lives that you need to go in and experience, so you can release those judgments, so that you can ascend into a higher minded dimension, into a place where you do have more control over your consciousness. It's not as confined, it's not as restricted, it's not in this prison matrix, because that is what this arena that has been, this earth plane, has been about. It has been like a prison system. It has been a contained environment, because it was so that souls could learn and evolve for themselves. Humans could evolve as beings. And, that's all getting really complicated now with, because now they're changing what humans are into this, whatever, their hybrid being that they're creating without telling people. I mean, you would think, but they've also trained us to not read the small print. I mean, when they tell you something like, oh, you got to sign this, and then they send you like 5 pages of tiny writing of all nobody goes in and reads all that shit. We're just like, okay, user code, you just click the box. But they've trained us to not want to read the fine print. So, it could be in there somewhere in the fine print, because you do have to sign to get this thing. And you do get a number, and the number is your lot in the experiment, and that's being tracked, just like our Social Security, just like our birth certificate numbers. All those numbers are tracked. Those numbers are very specific meaning. They aren't just, let's just give them a number. Any old number will do. No, you are a number. That's all you are to them. You aren't a soul to them. You aren't a living being to them. You're just an experiment rat to them. And that's all they're doing, is experiments all the time. That's what your life has been. But this is an opportunity to recognize that, and to pull free from their system, and know you want more for your life. To know that you don't want to be living in a tyrannical government that wants to control your every move, because it's even going further. It was bad enough how it is, but they're going way further with this. So this is, the pendulum swings one way, it has to swing back. In this case, it is going to be the complete reversal, because we see, that's why things are so discombobulated right now, is because everything is the upside down. Nothing is right side up. Nothing makes sense. People see a demon and think it's an angel. Just in the factard, you can see that. With Gator Boy, you can see that. People haven't seen the truth. When the truth comes full circle, and they have to recognize that everything in their reality has a huge shift. There's like a whole discombobulated, like, what the hell? For those of us who are awakened already, it was a lot more of a slow roll, We did it at our own pace. It went in a certain direction. And, you need to recognize, too, that gift was so that you could come full circle with the people you're going to help, because you are going to be called into service to help others. The people that you were angry at because they called you crazy, then you are going to be there to help them through this frenzied, discombobulated kind of shift that's going to occur. But it has to occur. There's no way forward without it happening, because it is the shift that goes and leads us to the new world that we are, a lot of us can see it. A lot of us know it. That is we were imprinted with it like a map to give that guidance to head us towards that direction. So it's in our soul. I mean, we know it. Nobody can talk me out. I don't care how many conversations I go into and people start telling me about Armageddon. It's like, no, this isn't Armageddon. That's not what's happening here. This is a shift. This is a exposing the evil so we can let it go and see our part, see the parts we played in this, so we can release it, so that we can grow and then we can move, because the age of Aquarius is only for those who can graduate to that level. It's not for everybody. A lot of people won't be able to ascend to that and will continue in these three-dimensional reincarnation cycles for a while, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's what souls do. It's how souls grow. It's about consciousness. It's about realizing what you are, who you are, so that you can pull free. And, there's a lot of souls who are just dependent on that system, because it's very scary to be alive. It's very scary to be, it is that, I love that, that analogy that guy did on what is that show called? Initiation, I think. I've talked about him a lot of times. And he's that channeler, and he talks about Atlantis and stuff like that. And what was the analogy? Wow. It drives me crazy. I always start giving the background on something, and then I get to the part what I wanted to tell. But I always feel like I have to give the background part. And then I get to that part, and it's like, what was it? I'll think of it. But anyways, it is this, transfer out of this system that has been dependent. I know it was that he talked about consciousness and about how the I remember what it was. So he was talking about up in the highest, when you get up to where people think where people would think of like heaven is being the closest to God you could be, right? That would be, at the foot of God. But their idea of God is the man in the robes sitting up there. They're going to play a harp and sing songs to him for eternity. But in reality, God is just the source of energy that we all come from. It is what we are all a part of, and we all have a little piece of that in us. But what he talked about that I found just so interesting is when you are in that space, it is just empty space, because it has no judgment. It has no feeling about anything. It is just what is what is. It's a state of being. And when a soul is in that place, it is the soul that becomes uncomfortable in this dark space, that begins to question, who and what am I? But you have to have that empty space to begin to question, who and what am I? So you go on the search. So as a conscious being, you go on the search of who and what am I? So you go through these life cycles, the soul's journey. You go through life cycles so that you can begin to understand who you are. You go through different traumatic events. You go through different life patterns. You go through playing the different roles through experience. And you begin to develop an idea of who and what you are. And then you have this graduation, an ascension that moves you into a higher state of reality. It's a release of this strict control that has been on consciousness in order to, it's kind of like, because everything in nature represents. So you think about like a baby being born. You couldn't just be like, throw it out in the yard and tell it, make it on your own, kid. And that's what consciousness is in the beginning. It needs restrictions. It needs assistance. It needs a wall to bounce back off of. It needs something. Just like when I talked about that time when I came out of my body. I've come out more than once, but when I wasn't expecting it, I was doing that stretch. And I came out. It was a very scary feeling because you didn't feel any boundaries. Your body gives you a boundary. It gives you a feeling of like, okay, I'm contained. So what am I? What am I doing here? What's going on? And so you get into that thing. And this is like a playground. It's like going to school. It's like a playground. So you can get, you go in and you start learning some of it. Learning about the games. Learning about how to survive. Learning about who and what you are. Learning about what other people believe. And you learn all of these different things. When you get to a point where you've completed those lessons. And at the completion of those, when it aligns right, I mean, you can ascend at other times, but this is like a group ascension. This is a huge amount of people. It's a cosmic event because the earth is cycling out of this, this heavy, I mean, the earth was being destroyed by these beings who had taken over. And, you know, another thing I just want to put out there too, is that when, you know, one thing is that people, like, they want to divide up, like, oh, there's aliens, oh, there's ghosts, and oh, there's angels, and there's demons, and all that stuff. And they haven't wrapped their mind around yet that, no, they're just all souls. They're just all souls going in different experiences at different times. There's nothing different except for where somebody vibrates, where they resonate, what's available to them. And the higher you go, the more that's available. So you can incarnate in a lot of different arenas because you've expanded up into this Christ consciousness, and you can go into different areas. You have more abilities, you have more powers, you are more aware of who and what you are. It's like the veil is lifted. Right now, it's kind of like the veil is being dipped in bleach over and over, and it's getting thinner and thinner, and it's scary for people. A lot of people are really freaked out. I've heard spiritual people freaking out, like, what the fuck is happening here? And I always wonder, like, well, what was your studying on spirituality? And, you know, I just want to put this out there too, is because yesterday I heard this thing. It was, I really liked it. And lately in my messaging, it has been that I was going to be shown more of who I am and my purpose and stuff. And so lately, and this is going to be a little too crazy for some people, but it has to do with the reincarnation and stuff. And who my guides were, like I've always talked about when I was really, really young. I knew that the guides were something. I related them to aliens because they were telling me so much stuff about what we were really doing here and how we became to be here and stuff. And so I always thought of them as like aliens. And I always had a connection to Native Americans, and which I believe that I have visions of when I wasn't, what people I was with at that time in this life. I have visions of that one. And then the ties to Atlantis and Egypt. And then I have some different lives too that have different lessons that I can recognize in this world. But the one with so in these TikTok things that I had been seeing, a lot of different Indian people or indigenous people, like all sorts of people talking about all sorts of things. But a lot of people are talking about the spiritual thing and you know, nature, and, you know, just the philosophy of the Native Americans and the ancients and what they have said and stuff, and the prophecy. And it was prophesized about these ancient ones that were going to come back as healers. And then I had seen, and some of my guides they've been talking to me ever since it was after my dark night when they started talking to me, and I could see them. And there was one, an Indian woman. She was always very wise. She was always telling me things that were very wise. She would just give me insights where it would just be like, oh, yes. And then I had one, and this guy, he kind of reminded me of a drunk Indian or something, and he is really scrawny and stuff, but he was so funny. He would say the funniest things, but he was always like kind of drunk and stuff, but he was so insightful. He gave me so much insightful information. So I knew I had a connection to these different things with the tribes. I'm always drawn to it. I'm always drawn to Native American things. And then yesterday I heard a guy, and he was talking about the wounded healer. And so he was talking about this same thing with these group of healers that it came. And when he was explaining it, I was like, oh my God, that is me. The people who came to go through just all this traumatic event after traumatic event to get to this point of healing and resilience and being able to overcome. And, you know, those people that went through all of these traumas, because I was going through so many, and sometimes I was like, what? You know, it was just one after another for, you know, all my life. And, you just wonder, like, what did I do in a past life to have all this stuff? Well, then in this wounded healer said that it is all because these people came to go through those experiences so that they could help others, so they could teach others how to do it, how to get through these things, and resilience and stuff. And so it gave me more of a clear view of, why some of the things that I have gone through, and the whole point and the purpose of it, and how much you can do by helping people learn how to heal themselves. And one of the things that, going through, a lot of trauma things, being born to teenagers, alcoholic, pedophile dad, the brain injury, what I had to do to overcome to leave the medical establishment, how I had to heal myself, and how I had to focus on my own health. And there's just a lot of different things that I've gone through with experience to learn so that I can share it. And I've talked about that so many times on this channel. And so when it was showing me that, I was like, oh, this is so cool. I kind of feel like this is crooked. So sorry if it was driving you crazy. I don't know. Anyways, so it is, and everybody is getting this, like their veil is being cleared away so that they can see through. But you've been so indoctrinated and programmed to think that anything on the other side is crazy, that makes you a crazy person. And to the point where they put medicated people who were open to the other side, instead of training them how to have discernment, how to push those demon energies away, and that dark energy, how to put it away, how to block it so that they didn't have to listen to the the constant barrage of the usually people who are struggling with schizophrenia and stuff. It's they're always talking about demons and angels, and the demons are vicious. And they're very open to this world that they are told, that's crazy, that doesn't exist. Here, we're going to medicate you and shut you up and shut you down. Those people have a lot that they can be teaching us, and we have a lot that we can be teaching them, because it's all about the learner and the teacher. It's all about coming together and sharing information. We all have information to share. It's not just one person has information to share. We all have information, but we have to get comfortable in ourselves and believe in ourselves enough to share it and feel comfortable. And that is the, when you start to understand your part and you start to transition into, oh, there's a whole world out here, because there's a whole world that is existing. There's beings living around us that you can't even see because you're so focused on this world. You can't see what's beyond what's right in front of you. And that is all done on purpose. But this is this freeing of the mind. And earlier I got shown the cocoon. The cocoon. And that has become a reality. The people who have just lived in this cocoon for their whole lives and just lived within the parameters of where they were and that existence. And then when they break free and you rip open the cocoon and just start to come out, and you see all of the beauty and all of the whole world out there and how scary it can be. And it's completely different than what you thought it was when you were inside the cocoon. You come out and it's a completely different world. And then you get your wings and you get to fly and you get to be free and you get to find and explore. That is the transition of a consciousness awakening. That is a lifting of the veil. Don't be scared of it. You've been trained to be scared of it. You've been trained to think you're crazy when you open yourself up to that, because they wanted to keep you small. They didn't want you to ever become free. So don't be intimidated and scared by things you don't understand. Just kind of go with the flow and trust your inner guidance. And get to know yourself, get to know your guidance, get to know the realm that's outside of you, and don't focus so much of what's inside this world. Don't focus so much on that. You have so many consciousness that They go outside of themselves always to find joy, to find peace, to find confirmation. They're always going outside of themselves. I see people on social media going in and asking people to critique them, to tell them if they're okay and stuff. You don't need to go outside of yourself for information. Go inside of yourself. Recognize your own uniqueness. Recognize your own beauty and let that blossom. So you bring that to the table. You don't need to conform to like, oh, this person says I'm too fat. This person says I'm too skinny. This person says my hair is too curly. This person says my hair is too dark. You don't need all that. You just have to be. You just have to learn to accept yourself. And what makes you different is what makes you beautiful. Once you get a hold of that and you really grasp that concept, you just begin to love yourself in a whole new way because you see yourself for the complete picture of who you are. But it's a transition. Just don't get stuck and don't get scared because it's a scary thing, you know, when you start realizing, like, you know, imagine yourself. You went in there, you were just a little caterpillar in a cocoon. You were just all safe and snuggly. You were just going to work every day and coming home and just, you know, it just became a part of your survival, not to get a vacation, to have to go without a meal, to have to, you know, only get a salad when your friends go out to eat. You know, all of these things that people did that they thought that's just life. Bad relationships, thinking that that was love. And it was never love. You were told it was love, but it never was love. Now we're going to move into an age that we really get to experience love. But we're going to create the love we want. But in order to create the love you want, it's about raising your vibration and knowing what you deserve, knowing what you want, following your desires. And that is what's going to take you to the place that you have always wanted to be, that you knew was there. So, you know, it is scary to come out and start seeing, like, what in the hell is going on here? But just, you know, relax and change your focus. Focus on yourself and your growth. And know that there is a purpose for all this. And you're going to see it continually play out. So just, you know, just really focus on your healing and, you know, just let nature take its course. And keep your awareness. You always want to be expanding your awareness. That is a consciousness coming to life. That is consciousness. That's you beginning to learn that you have wings to spread. It's your awareness. It's your ability to see. It's your ability to feel outside of the box. So, anyways, enjoy this experience, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.